Okay, let's imagine this. You get some extra money, right? Maybe a bonus, tax refund, whatever. It lands in your account, and then, boom, that age-old question hits you. Do you use it to pay down your debt? Maybe get rid of it completely?
Or do you invest it? Put it somewhere you hope it'll grow.
Exactly. It's that classic financial crossroads. Debt versus investing.
It really is one of the most common questions we hear. And honestly, it can get pretty complex, pretty emotional too.
Totally. So that's what we're diving into today. We're tackling this head on using insights from a really helpful article we found from SideBySide. It's called Debt versus Investing, the Ultimate Financial Dilemma.
And it feels especially relevant now, doesn't it? Middle of 2025. You've got savings accounts, some high-yield ones offering decent returns, maybe, 4.5% APY?
Yeah, something like that. But then the stock market's been, well, volatile.
Right. And meanwhile, credit card interest rates, still sky high, often over 19%. It's rough.
And there's this whole cultural thing too, right? Especially maybe with younger folks. Debt's a reality, but so is wanting that financial freedom. It's not just about the numbers.
Definitely not. The side-by-side piece even mentions the story, Sarah and Amir, two friends. Sarah went all in, paying off her student loans fast.
Okay.
Amir, he focused more on investing early, just making minimum debt payments. And 10 years later, both are doing okay, but different paths. One's debt-free, the other has built up investments.
See, that really shows there's no single right answer.
Exactly. No easy fix.
So our goal today, our mission for this deep dive, is to unpack all of this using the article. We want to look at the arguments, the nuances, and help you figure out what strategy might make sense for your situation.
Sounds good. Where should we start? Maybe with the basics. Like, what are we actually talking about with debt and investing?
Good call. Got to define our terms. So debt, what does the article say?
Well, simply put, it's money you owe back, usually with interest tacked on. The article lists the usual stuff: credit cards, student loans, mortgages, car loans, personal loans, basically an obligation to pay someone back.
And it makes that distinction between good and bad debt, which I find helpful.
Yeah, it does. Good debt is often tied to things that might increase in value or boost your future earnings. Think student loans for a valuable degree, or a mortgage on a house.
Okay.
Bad debt. That's usually for stuff that loses value fast, or just consumption, like high-interest credit card debt from buying everyday things.
Got it. So that's debt, money out. What about investing?
Investing is the flip side. Putting money in,
Yeah.
hoping it grows, making your money work for you.
Ow.
The article mentions the common ways: stocks, ETFs, bonds, maybe real estate, mutual funds, index funds, lots of options. The main goal is to earn a return.
And ideally, a return that's higher than the interest you're paying on any debt, right? That's the crux of it.
That's the mathematical ideal, yes. And the article lays out some key differences between tackling debt and investing, almost like a comparison table.
Oh, cool. What jumps out from that comparison?
Well, risk is a big one. Paying off debt, especially that high interest stuff, that's low risk. You know you're saving that interest. It's guaranteed.
Right.
Investing, that involves risk. Medium to high, the article says. Markets go up, markets go down, no guarantees there.
And the return profile is different too. Debt payoff gives a guaranteed return, the interest saved.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Investing offers a variable return. Could be great, could be okay, could even lose money short term.
What about the feeling side of things, the emotional part?
Yeah, the article touches on that. Paying off debt often brings this huge sense of relief, peace of mind, freedom.
I can see that.
Investing can bring excitement, watching things grow, but maybe also some anxiety when the market dips, different emotions.
And the last point, liquidity.
Right. Money used for debt payoff is usually gone, locked away. You can't easily get it back.
Makes sense.
Investments are generally more liquid, more accessible, though you might have to sell things, maybe pay fees or taxes, depending on what it is.
Okay, so understanding those core differences, risk, return, emotion, access, that's the foundation.
Definitely. That sets the stage for weighing the pros and cons of each approach.
Which takes us right into the first big argument the article explores, making the case for paying off debt first. When does the analysis say this is the absolute priority?
Overwhelmingly, it points to one situation: high interest debt.
We're talking credit cards, right? Those 19%, 20% plus rates we mentioned.
Exactly those. The math, according to the article's analysis, is pretty stark here. If you're paying, say, 20% interest, trying to invest that same money, hoping for maybe 7%, 8%, 10% return, It just doesn't add up.
You're losing ground.
You're guaranteed to lose more in interest than you're likely to gain from average market returns. It's like that bucket analogy the source uses.
Oh yeah, the bucket with the hole.
Exactly. Trying to fill your investment bucket while there's a massive high-interest debt hole leaking money out the bottom. You got to plug the hole first.
Makes sense. There was a quote in there too, wasn't there?
Yes, from Sue Zorman. Paying off high-interest debt is a guaranteed return on your money. It's the best investment many people can make because that return is the interest rate you stop paying.
A guaranteed 20% return. Hard to beat.
Pretty much impossible to beat safely.
Okay, so the math is clear on high-interest debt. But the article also talks a lot about the emotional side, the freedom aspect.
Oh, absolutely. This is huge. The psychological weight of debt, it's heavy. The article mentions that APA stat from 2023, over 70% of people with debt feeling highly stressed by it.
Wow.
Getting rid of that, it can just lift such a burden. Less anxiety, often a better credit score, more options down the road. It's real freedom.
And just practically speaking, it simplifies things too, right?
Totally. Fewer bills to juggle, easier budgeting, less chance of missing a payment or getting hit with late fees. It just clears the decks financially, makes things much simpler to manage.
Okay, so strong case for tackling high-interest debt first for both mathematical and emotional reasons. When does the article start making the case for investing first, or maybe doing both at the same time?
The argument for investing becomes much stronger when you're dealing with low-interest debt. And this is key when you have a long time horizon.
Okay, like what kind of debt are we talking about?
The classic example the article uses is like a student loan at maybe 4% interest.
Oh.
Or a mortgage at 3 or 4%.
Right, relatively low rates.
Yeah. If you're young, say in your 20s or 30s, you've got decades until retirement. Decades for investments to potentially grow.
Through compounding.
Exactly. The potential long-term average returns in the stock market, historically around 10%, so obviously not guaranteed year to year, could significantly outpace that low 4% cost of debt over, say, 30 years. Time is the magic ingredient there.
And the article flags one specific thing where investing is almost always the right call if you have access to it.
The employer match. Yes.
Yeah.
Absolutely critical. If your job offers a 401k match or something similar,
Free money.
it's literally free money. Contributing enough to get the full match is like getting an instant 100% return. The article basically says, do this first before almost any other extra debt payment or investment.
Can't argue with 100% return. What else supports investing first in certain cases?
Opportunity cost. The article really hammers this home. If you delay investing, especially when you're young, you miss out on the most powerful years of compounding growth.
That time factor again?
Huge factor. The example they give is powerful. Investing, say, RS, $10,000 a year for 30 years at 8% might get you over Rs, $1.2 million. Wait just 10 years to start. That same amount invested for 20 years gets you maybe Rs, $0.5 million.
Whoa, that's a massive difference just from delaying 10 years.
It really shows the cost of waiting, and then there's inflation.
Ah, right, the silent wealth killer.
Kind of. With low-interest debt, say 3%, and inflation running at maybe 2–3% on average, the real cost of that debt is very low, sometimes even negative. Investing, on the other hand, is historically one of the best ways to beat inflation and actually build real wealth over the long term. Preserve your purchasing power.
Okay, so low interest debt plus a long timeline plus maybe an employer match. The scale can definitely tip towards investing.
For sure. But, as the article stresses, it's often not strictly one or the other. Life's usually messier than that.
Yeah, the real world isn't always so clear-cut. So the balanced approach, how does the source suggest people navigate that middle path?
Well, one simple way mentioned is the 50-50 strategy. Got extra cash, split it, half goes to extra debt payments, half goes into investments.
So you get a bit of both worlds.
Exactly. You chip away at the debt, which feels good, but you also get your money working for you in the market. A psychological and financial win-win, potentially.
The article also talks about specific methods for paying down debt that fit into this balanced idea, like the avalanche and snowball.
Right. The avalanche method means you focus extra payments on the debt with the absolute highest interest rate first. Mathematically, this saves you the most money on interest over time.
Makes sense. And the snowball?
The snowball method tackles the smallest debt balance first, regardless of the interest rate. You pay that off quickly, get a win, feel motivated, and then roll that payment into the next smallest debt. It's more about psychological momentum.
So you pick the method that works for your personality.
Pretty much. And the idea is once you've used one of these methods to knock out maybe the high interest stuff, you can then shift those freed up funds more heavily towards investing. It's a phased approach.
But before you even start aggressively paying extra on debt or investing, there's one crucial step the article highlights.
The emergency fund, yes. Cannot stress it's enough.
You're like job number one.
Absolutely job number one.
Yeah.
Before you get fancy, the article says build that cushion. 3 to 6 months of essential living expenses parked in a safe, easy-to-access savings account.
Why is that so critical first?
Because life happens. Job loss, medical bill, car breaks down. If you don't have that buffer, you're likely to go right back into debt, probably high-interest debt, to cover the emergency. The fund protects your whole plan.
It's the foundation. Prevents setbacks.
Precisely. And once you have a plan, whether it's debt-focused, investment-focused, or balanced, the article strongly recommends automation.
Set it and forget it.
Basically, yeah. Set up automatic transfers for extra debt payments. Set up automatic contributions to your investment accounts. It takes the decision-making effort out each month, ensures consistency, and helps you avoid accidentally spending the money. Builds discipline.
Okay, we've covered the strategies, the math, the how-to based on the source. But the side-by-side article also talks about pitfalls, right? And the human element.
Yes, because we're not robots. Our behavior matters. A big pitfall warned against is just ignoring the math. You really have to compare your debt interest rates to realistic potential investment returns. Don't just guess or follow a rule of thumb blindly.
Run your own numbers.
Absolutely. Another trap is overvaluing that emotional comfort of being debt-free. Look, it feels great, no doubt, but if you're aggressively paying off a 3% mortgage while neglecting investing for 30 years, you might be costing yourself significant potential growth. You need to weigh that feeling against the long-term numbers.
Tricky balance.
It is. And the flip side, a major no-no highlighted again. Investing heavily while still carrying high-interest debt, like over 10 or 12%, the odds are heavily stacked against you.
Yeah.
It's almost always a losing proposition financially. Remember the leaky bucket.
Right. Plug the big leaks first. What else?
Lifestyle inflation. You pay off a big debt or your investments do well. It's tempting to start spending more.
Upgrade the car, bigger holidays.
Exactly. The article cautions against this. Stay disciplined. Keep funneling money towards your long-term goals. Don't just let your expenses rise to meet your improved situation.
These pitfalls really show it's not just about spreadsheets.
Not at all. Which leads to the human factor the article acknowledges. Financial decisions are personal.
Like risk aversion. Some people just hate owing money, period.
Exactly. For someone very risk-averse, paying off even a low-interest mortgage might provide immense peace of mind. That peace of mind is a return, even if you can't easily quantify it. It's a valid choice for them.
And market volatility is real. Investing isn't smooth sailing.
Definitely not.
Yeah.
Markets crash, values drop. While history shows long-term growth, the short term can be scary. Paying off debt offers certainty. That interest saving is guaranteed. For someone who can't sleep at night worrying about stocks, focusing on debt might be better for their overall well-being, even if the math suggests otherwise on paper.
The article also mentioned cultural or psychological barriers.
Yeah, how we're raised, our cultural background, past experiences, they all shape how we view debt. Some people feel intense shame around any debt, others see it purely as a tool. These deep-seated beliefs, logical or not, really influence our choices.
It's a good reminder that the optimal financial choice isn't always the best choice for an individual's life and values.
Well said. It's about finding the right balance for you.
Okay, so let's try and bring this all together. After this deep dive into the side-by-side article, what's the main takeaway? Debt payoff or invest first?
Well, the clearest message is there's no single universal answer. It really, really depends.
But we can generalize a bit based on the analysis if you have high-interest debt.
Priority 1, pay it off aggressively. The math and the peace of mind both point strongly in that direction.
Okay. And if your debt is low interest, manageable, and you have a long time horizon,
then the case for investing, especially starting early to capture compounding, becomes very compelling, particularly if there's an employer match involved.
get that match.
Always get the match.
And for everyone in between, or with a mix of debts.
That's where a balanced, strategic approach often makes the most sense. Maybe the 50-50 split, or using avalanche or snowball to clear bad debt first, then shifting focus to investing.
So it comes down to understanding your specific situation, the numbers, the timeline.
And yourself. Your emotions, your risk tolerance, your values. The article really encourages using logic, yes, but also factoring in what feels right for your life.
Because peace of mind and building wealth aren't necessarily mutually exclusive.
Hopefully not. With a smart plan tailored to you, you can often make progress on both fronts.
Great stuff. So as you, our listener, reflect on all this, here are a few final thoughts or questions to mull over, inspired by the source material.
First, think about the specific types of debt you might have.
Yeah.
How could paying them off or keeping them uniquely impact your credit score and your ability to borrow in the future? It's not always the same effect.
Also, consider the current climate we mentioned, 2025. With interest rates and market conditions as they are, what specific investment strategies might feel right for you if you're starting out or continuing to invest? What feels approachable?
And finally, practically speaking, how could automation help you? Could setting up automatic payments or investment contributions make managing everything simpler and more consistent in your life? Take the decision fatigue out of it.
Just think about one small step you could take based on what we talked about today.
Yeah, that one step is often the most important one. That's how you start building real momentum.